Welcome back. This is the Kelly Roach Show. Today I have with me Samantha Skelly, and she has helped over 500,000 people to heal, to transform, and to discover and master breathwork. She is the founder of the world's leading breathwork organization, Pause Breathwork. Samantha, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kelly. Thank you so much.
I am so happy you are here because we got some entrepreneurs in the house that need to learn how to take better care of themselves. And I think if there's one lesson we have all learned over these last couple years is that the best medicines are not necessarily drugs that we put in our body. And so, Samantha, why don't you start at the very beginning and just like, for everyone listening, like, how would you describe what is breath work?
Well, first of all, I'm super stoked that I get to talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs because I believe that entrepreneurship is such a powerful way to change the world. Like the world is going to change through entrepreneurs. And if we can learn how to regulate our nervous systems and not be so anxious and stressed out all the time, we can really add more fuel and passion to our missions. And so I'm super stoked to pour into your people today. But yeah, going back. So I grew up in Vancouver, Canada, and the trajectory of my life was going to be a performer. I was a dancer. I was a child actress. I was like the chick in the Tide commercials with the grassy knees. I was a stunt double for a little while in a show called Smallville up there. And I really thought that that was my path. When I was 18, I was struggling a lot with anxiety and body image issues and disordered eating and just really feeling disconnected from myself. And I had tried everything like yoga, therapy, meditation, and nothing was really working. I kept thinking, am I putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds? Like what's really there's something going on here and I'm like really not getting to it. And so I was reading the book Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she's going to Bali and finding that medicine man. And my mind was like, that's what you should do. So I did. I took a one-way ticket to Bali. I found the man that she wrote about in her book, and I had a session with him. And he basically said, you think too much. You're way too anxious. Like you need to go meditate. And I was like, I hate meditation so much, but he's telling me to do it. So fine, I'll listen. And so he's like, there's a meditation school down the road. Go take a meditation class and just like calm yourself, ground yourself, get back, into your center. I go to this meditation class or school. There's no meditation class, but there's a breathwork class. And the first thing I thought was, what is that? Like just breathing? Like that seems weird. And this was 15 years ago. Breathwork is really cool now, but 15 years ago, I had no idea what it was. And a lot of no one really knew, or no one in the West, I should say. And I took this class and it changed my entire life in such a short amount of time. I realized that through the breath, I could actually release my anxiety. I didn't have to think about how to feel better. I just had to breathe and feel to feel better. And I ended up healing my eating disorder within 3 months. And I became so obsessed with understanding what this was. Like how did that happen? And so I sent cold emails out to all the breathwork gurus who were alive at the time. Half of them are dead now, but I just was basically like, I don't know what just happened, but I need you to teach me and I need to train with you. And so for 8 years, I was a student of breathwork. I took every certification on the market. Since that day, which was about 15 years ago now, 14 and a half, I've done breathwork every single day for 20 minutes to just, it's honestly like this emotional shower that I take every single day that just cleanses the energy that I've taken on from my day. And after 8 years of just training and doing it for myself and just, using it to heal myself, heal my mind, heal my body, I decided to build what is now Pause Breathwork. And I say I decided. It wasn't really a decision. It was like this intuitive hit of like, you have to go do this thing. Yeah. And at the time, I was actually running another business called Hungry for Happiness. And I literally pivoted overnight. It was like the wildest pivot. I'm like, left turn. We're not doing that anymore. We're doing this. And since 2017, I've been building this company. The main thing that we do is we train people to become breathwork facilitators. And we teach them how to become, trauma-informed breathwork facilitators. And then we have an app and all the rest of the things. And my passion now, of course, is helping the world heal through the power of their breath and reminding people that they are their own drug. And for every point of suffering that exists in the body, we have the remedy, we have the answer. And another side passion that I do is I help female entrepreneurs in their businesses and in their missions. And my acronym for business, lucrative, impactful, fun, and easy. And when we really learn how to regulate our nervous systems and operate our businesses from feminine energy, we can really change the world in a massive way. And so that's my little other side project that I do too.
Yeah. No, I love it. Okay. So can you walk us through, like we're in third grade, what happens to the brain and what happens to the body when you start using these techniques?
So the technique, the first one that I ever learned was the 3-part breath. And at Pause, we call that the triactive breath. So it's into the belly, the chest, out through the mouth. So that's basically the mechanics of the breath. When the exhale is longer than the inhale, what that does is it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for our rest and digest. Most of us right now, especially in our crazy world, we're chronically riding our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And when we're chronically riding that system, there's this sort of chronic low-level anxiety that we're all experiencing. And when we have that low-level static or anxiety, it's really our intuition. It's really hard to hear ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so that breath allows us to stimulate the parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest. And when we're in that place, that's when we're the most aligned, intuitive, creative, clear, confident, right? All things that we really need as business owners, as founders of these companies. The other thing that happens in the brain as we're doing that breath is it's stimulating the amygdala, which is our center for emotional control. And it's mitigating the response of the amygdala, which is essentially our survival strategies are like, don't do that. You can't do that. Come back. Stop. It, like the part of us that stops us, right? It's the small part of us that's trying to keep us safe. Right? It's a survival strategy. But the things that we're doing right now, especially in entrepreneurship, is not going to kill us. It's just going to put us outside of our comfort zone. But our amygdala is like, no, don't do that. You will die. Yeah. So with breath work, it allows that part of us to just chill out a little bit. And it kind of like breaks us out of the matrix enough for us to see our potentiality. It changes our perception of the world so we can see things more clearly, you know?
Yeah. The new year is fast approaching, and there isn't a business owner out there that doesn't realize that with the speed of change and disruption in the market, your business needs to be relevant. Its products, programs, and services need to come across as timely, and they have to meet an urgent need with a competitive edge in the way that you position your brand. Now is the time to reinvent yourself and your business. Step into your true calling as a leader, living your faith, building your empire, and creating millions of dollars of revenue and impact in the world. If you want to learn more about how you can step into your new era, reinvent your business, and catapult your growth, make sure you register for the Reinvention Roadmap and give you a step-by-step plan to crystallize your new era, elevate your voice and your brand, and create the next level of success in 2025. Scroll down below this episode, click the link, and get yourself registered now. It's interesting, you were saying about like that low level anxiety. I feel like people have been in that state so much for so long, they don't even recognize it anymore. Yeah. Right? Like it's like sometimes you don't even know how good you can feel because you felt that way for so long that you don't even know that.
Yeah, it's like we're normalizing suffering. And one of our mission statement at Pause is making emotional suffering optional. Well, when there's the option to make it optional, the question becomes, well, how do we not suffer? Right? And I think there's a big difference between suffering, which like we just talked about, like you said, like people just normalize it, like, oh, and like misery loves company. Oh, we're all suffering, we're anxious, like let's have a glass. And then we normalize like, let's have a glass of wine, let's get high, and like I love having a cocktail every now and then, but like we've normalized it to satiate, to like soothe that like response of just feeling anxious all the time. And so if it's optional, then out of it, Well, it's realizing that the other side of suffering is pain, and pain is a very normal human experience, which actually helps us evolve and learn and grow. And when we can feel our feelings, truly, feel our feelings and feel our pain, we actually begin to integrate and heal a lot of that pain, and we gather the lessons from it. I believe that entrepreneurship, first and foremost, is a personal development journey.
For sure.
How about you? Like this year, something about like the 7 years, but like this year is like the hardest year like in my business that I've ever had in my life. I'm like, am I being punked right now?
Yeah.
And I realized like so much of how I've needed to operate this year has come from a place of who do I need to be in order to grow this mission? Who do I need to be in order to build this business? Because the version of myself that existed last year can't handle what's happening this year. And so it's a constant personal development journey. And if we prioritize our growth above everything else, then everything else becomes a lot easier. But if we're not willing to go through the pain to actually learn the lessons needed to learn, business is going to feel excruciating. And I think that's why a lot of businesses fail. Not because you don't have the right systems and structure or strategy. It's because the psychology of the leader.
Oh, it's 1,000%. We talk about it on the show all the time, and the process of being and the becoming and who you need to be. And you're absolutely right. Like whoever you were last year ain't gonna cut it.
Ain't gonna cut it, sister.
Like, it's not happening, right? It's a whole new version.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that for yourself that you tend to do this 15 minutes a day. That's
20 minutes? 20 minutes a day is like my minimum.
Okay.
If I'm really feeling like a bag of balls, I'll go like, half an hour, 45 minutes,
Okay. And do you play like music when you do this? Like set the stage for us? Like,
Yeah. Shameless plug. We have an app, the Pause Breathwork app. So I'll just, in my office on the other side of my desk, part that you can't see, I have a mat and I have my sound bowl and I have a little stereo and I have it all kind of like set up there. Lie down, put my weighted blanket on me, put my headphones on, hit a track on the app. That's like 20, 25 minutes. And I'll just breathe. And I'll have my journal next to me. And every single breathwork session is different, and I never know what I'm going to get. Sometimes they're very physical, where my body's just like needing to physically like shake off energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not physical at all. They're just very emotional, and I'm just crying for 20 minutes. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm just letting go of this energy. Very like spiritual, where it's not physical. I'm not crying, but I just feel deeply to God, universe, whatever word you want to use. I'm like, whoa, I am a part of this whole thing. And I just feel that on such a deep level. Sometimes it's all three, or sometimes I'm just breathing and I hate it the whole entire time. Like that's also an option. I'm like, this is so annoying. I hate doing this right now. But it's just the part of me that's just like, annoyed. So it's a new adventure every single day.
I love it. So would you say that when someone starts to take on breath work and they're like, okay, I'm going to integrate this into my life, and maybe they come to you, maybe they go through the certification, they get the app, whatever the case, is there like stages or phases of healing that people go through when they incorporate this regularly, not like a one-time thing, but if someone commits to this, are there like stages or phases, or like, what should someone expect if they say, I'm starting a new year, I'm going to commit to my own healing this year, and this is the channel that I'm gonna work on, gonna integrate into my life to do that?
Yeah, the journey of integrating breathwork into your life is so unique to every single individual, but it goes a little something like this. So the first breathwork session that you ever do, you're like, what was that? What just happened? I actually just went for a walk this morning with someone, and she was telling me about her first breathwork session. She's like, I was blown away. I had no idea that my body could do that. So there's a little bit of a shock factor in like a good way when we first start it. Yeah. And then because of that shock factor and because of that like opening, right? Like the breaking out of the matrix and the opening, then there's a lot of curiosity. What is that? Like what is that thing? And so then we begin to get curious. And then the deeper we go into breathwork, we realize like, oh, there's some like hidden trauma in my body that I didn't know was there. So let me use breathwork to actually heal that. Breathwork gives us the awareness, and then also knows how to heal heal ourselves. The only thing we need to do is lie down and breathe. That's it. The body will do the rest. We don't have to overthink it. We don't have to have a strategy. We just have to lie down and breathe. Like I 15 years of doing it every single day. I still resist it. I'm like, I don't want to do this today, but I know every single time it's so valuable. And I know that my body knows exactly what to do every time, hands down. And so it truly is a journey of curiosity and trusting yourself and trusting your body and realizing like your body is so intelligent. It knows how to heal itself. All you have to do is just lie down and breathe. So first there's like an opening, then there's a curiosity. Then we get to have a discipline, right? Of get on your mat and do it every day. Mm-hmm. And if you're like, Sam, 20 minutes, that's crazy. I don't care. Do a minute a day.
Yeah. Just
like
start.
do 30 seconds a day. It's do like something
else. Like just do something. Start. So, you know, you talked about how when you started down this path, like you were able to heal, you know, things that you were working through. And you said like, you know, and I do agree, by the way, and there's so many studies on this now, the body can heal itself. Like it was born to be able to rejuvenate and heal. Do you see that a lot with your students, with the people that get certified? Like, and my question is it concentrated effort on trying to heal something, or is it just surrendering to the process and the process finds what needs to heal?
Dude, that's a great question. So good. Here's the answer. Intention's powerful, right? So for instance, let me give you an example. Say in my marriage, right? If Eric's doing something that I can't think of any specific thing, but say something's happening, and whenever he does that thing, it triggers me. I'm just like, oh, that's so annoying, right? Like, the way he said that, or the way whatever. And I'm noticing like every single time he does that, it like pings me. Well, I have the awareness to know now that triggers are teachers and they need to be healed. And it's not really about him. It's about what's inside of me. So I'll take that into a breathwork session if I want to be intentional and specific about it, right? So I'm like, okay, this part of me gets triggered when he does that. The story I'm creating is like, he doesn't care or whatever it is. And I will go into my session and be like, show me in my past where this has occurred, or like, help me heal this or help me integrate this because this is disruptive to my life. So there are times where I do use a specific thing with intention and I take it on my mat and I breathe on that very specific thing. There's other times where I'm like, feeling pretty good, right? Don't really need to do it. This year, a lot of my breathwork sessions have been around my business and been around like leadership and direction. Like, okay, I'm feeling stuck here in my business. I've thought about this a million ways and I'm confused and I don't know what to do. Help me, give me some clarity, right? Help me figure it out. So I'll go in with sort of like that intention, but it's also really beautiful just to go in intentionless and just see what arises.
No, So I'm really interested in exploring anything that can help people to reconnect to their intuition. I think one of the things that is one of the saddest things I think about our culture today, our society today, is that if you don't have self-leadership, you are taught to seek outside of yourself answers that already reside inside of yourself. And I think one of the things that will produce the great leaders in this next evolution are leaders that are not only self-led and God-led, but also leaders that are really deeply connected to their own intuition and can really clear, you know, that connection. So talk to me a little bit about how this will help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's basically, the way that I see it, sense it, and feel it is there's three sort of pillars of connection, right? There's three things speaking to us all at the same time. We have our mind, right? The chatter that's in our mind, which is normally, you know, from our survival mind, which a lot of times is fear. Watch out for that. Oh my gosh. Blah, blah, blah. Then we have our emotions, which communicate in sensations, right? The contractions, the expansions, the whatever it is, like emotion communicates to us in sensation. And then we have intuition or spiritual, or I love how you said God-led. It's so beautiful, right? Then there's like that very clear, discerning, beautiful, like when I said pause breathwork came to me, that was intuition. That wasn't me sitting down being like, what business should I build next? I had no intention of building another business.
Right.
So breath work allows us to unhook from the mind. So we're really not experiencing that mental chatter. And this happens, by the way, after about 3 minutes of doing breath work. So it unhooks from the mind. And then what it also does is it gives us space from our emotion. So we're not so identified with our emotion, and we can begin to observe our emotion. Like I used to say all the time, I am anxious. I am anxious. No, I'm not anxious. I'm experiencing anxiety.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference there,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like we unhook from the mind becomes clear. We separate identity from our emotion. So there's spaciousness there. Mm-hmm. And then from that place, again, there's enough of a break in the matrix for God to speak to us, for intuition to speak to us. And whatever word you want to use, like I really believe like intuition and God is interchangeable. You know, there's this, and whatever you believe, choose your own adventure, choose your own word for it. But there's like universe or God or intuition or spirit or soul or whatever it is. And for me, it's God. It's like, okay, what's my next best step here? Mm-hmm. My mind that is rooted in a primal survival pattern right now is not going to tell me my best moves.
Yeah,
It's going to tell me like,
exactly.
You should probably burn everything down and like go work at State Farm Insurance.
Exactly. So
right. But like, what am I saying? So it's like when we do breath work, we open up the conversation. We remove the static so we can hear the voice of reason, the voice of the universe, the voice of our truth, the voice of God, whatever it is you want to use. And from there, it's like clear, it's open. Yeah. It's just
so good. I love it. What are some of your favorites? I know for me as a business strategist, like I say, I get a front row seat every single day to people changing their lives. And that's why I wake up every single day and do what I do. And I'm sure for you, it never changes. You get to see people go through the certification, start using the app, you know, go through these programs and change their lives. What are some of the front row seats that you've taken watching your clients transform that have really stuck with you, that you carry with you on the really, really crappy CEO days where you're like, I do want to burn it down and go work at State Farm, but I'm not going to. What are some of those things that you reflect on when that happens?
I love that. I have a folder in my named praise for rainy days, for those days where I want to go work at State Farm Insurance, you know. It's just emails, you know, like emails and emails and emails of people through certification, becoming a breathwork facilitator, opening up a breathwork studio when I focus on the mission. Putting numbers on missions feels arbitrary to me. Like, that's cool. But for me, it doesn't feel energizing. For me, it's like the mission of making emotional suffering optional. Like, how can I do that for as many people as possible? It feels more exciting than this, like, hey, we're going to hit this. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But when I see all of these women and men all around the world in 27 different countries, breathwork studios, popping up breathwork businesses, changing lives, making impact, making income, doing what their soul is here to do, like using their spiritual gifts, I'm like, that makes me not want to work at State Farm Insurance.
For sure. For sure. Now, you know, as you said,
this episode brought to you by State Farm Insurance.
Exactly. I gotta put the shout outs, yeah. You know, as you said, when you started on this journey 15 years ago, breathwork in the West was completely unknown. And I still feel like there's a lot of people, like I just learned about breathwork maybe like a year and a half ago because we have clients that, you know, work in that space. But I still think there's a large population that has no idea what it is. That's why I asked you to actually like explain what it was. I think there's many, many people that are still in the very early phases. But I would love to know, what have you seen in terms of, or what are you expecting to see in terms of the integration of breath work into mainstream healing, replacing medicine, like all of these things, because I think it's something that, you know, as the evolution has happened with understanding the brain science, the body, all of these things, things that were once considered like a fringe nice to have are now people are beginning to understand are far more powerful and far more potent, and they're natural, and they can replace so many of these other things that we were told that we needed in order to heal ourselves, which actually we didn't, right? So talk to me a little bit about like, how do you see the evolution of the breathwork space and like what's happening right now?
Yeah. One of the great things that's happening in a big movement that's happening in the space right now is really making the link between body and science. And there's a lot of studies that are coming out. A lot of the work that Joe Dispenza is doing now is really validating with science that when we breathe, we are healing ourselves. Like we are living ourselves. And so movements like that and the research that he's doing here at SDSU is absolutely extraordinary and is really pushing that forward and really, really making corporate America go, oh, well, let me pay attention to that thing. You know, I think one of the big moves with Pause right now is taking on clients in corporate America and bringing breath work to them, you know, because there's a certain type of avatar that is going to search out breath work, right? It's typically the woman who is already on the path of healing. She already does yoga. She already shops at Lululemon or Aloe. She's already got her green juice or her bone broth or what. She's already doing it, right? So she's gonna like, but State Farm Insurance. What about all of the employees at State Farm Insurance?
Yeah.
They've never heard of it. They have no idea. So if we bring breathwork to corporate America, people are going to be like, wait, what is this? They're going to do it because it's free and it's a benefit from working at wherever they're at. And they're going to break the matrix. They're going to see there's an opening and then they're going to get curious and then they're going to go deeper. And so a lot of the work that we're doing at Pause right now is our corporate initiatives, really supporting and helping people, that are just doing the 9-to-5 thing and they don't realize like their power, their potential. And it's a really exciting time for breathwork. And, corporate America cares about how is this going to affect my bottom line? Well, if your employees are mentally well and you have a better culture, that sparks more creativity, which of course, so it's definitely a really exciting time.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, I'm always excited to see anything that is the brain and the body and our spirits come alive again. And I think breathwork is a part of that movement. So really, really amazing work that you're doing, Samantha. So I'm hoping that we got some people excited to want to explore what could be possible for them on their healing journey. What is a good place for them to go for next steps?
Yeah, come say hi to me on Instagram for sure. My handle is at Samantha Skelly. And come let me know that you heard us here on the show. And then pausebreathwork.com. If you want to become a facilitator, we can hook you up there and support you in taking your next steps.
Really, really great work. Well, keep growing the movement, keep changing the world, keep doing the work. It's needed. Everyone can heal. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Samantha, and for sharing your beautiful work with the world. And here's the breath work, taking the main stage.
Let's go. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you.
Got it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the Kelly Roach Show. Remember, sharing is caring. So pass this episode along to someone that you feel needs to hear the message that was shared here today, and you're going to change their life. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.